think that a lot of people define social class in different ways. Probably the broadest or most common way that we think about social class is one of these structuring axes, one of many that helps sort people into different buckets of opportunity. And so we might think about social class as something that functions alongside a lot of other factors in life, like your gender, like your race, your ethnicity, your immigration status, for example. And social class, I think, of all of these things that we know impact people's trajectories, is certainly one that has a big weight. Depending on where you live in the United States and the political winds within the locality of your destination, where you're engaging in everyday activities like work or driving children to school or walking to the store, the impacts of your social class and the way you're perceived, again, depending on that socio-legal context, can matter quite a lot. If you're living in a place that is restrictive towards immigrants, that is sending out a message through policy and practice that people like you aren't welcome here, and you do hold a job that is physically demanding, for example, or something that we might consider one of these immigrant quote-unquote jobs, then you can really see social class as working as a precarity accelerator, hand in glove with a difficult socio-legal environment to make people's everyday lives more difficult, but also their socioeconomic standing more difficult in terms of changing that trajectory. I also think that the ways that localities treat immigrants have a lot to do with the ways that they integrate. So integration, as we've been talking about in these days of conference together, isn't a one-way street. Immigrants respond to messages that they hear from local policies, from local government, that are giving them signals of welcomeness, of reception, or the opposite, right? So in some research that I do in cities that self-define themselves as sanctuary cities or as welcoming cities for immigrants of all immigration statuses, you can see that those cities have made opportunities for people without immigration status to become involved in local government. For example, to become involved in a committee that determines how green space is used or where bike lanes are put through their community, because, for example, in the city that I'm referring to, a lot of day laborers use their bicycles to get to work. So they had a big voice in where the bike lanes go because they were the users of the bike lanes. These kinds of civic behavior, civic involvement are at the heart of what we think about of integration in the United States. And this is an example that pushes us to think about how localities can signal to immigrants, we want you to contribute, we want your input in the ways that we run our city. I think that along the lines of what we might think about in these topics, that it's really important to have the perspective both of the immigrant community and all of its diversity, and also of the people that are putting policy into place. I think that thinking about those relationships reciprocally, what local government can do, actors within local government that are interested in forming relation with immigrant communities, and then what immigrant communities are hearing, what messages they're getting. And if we think about those things kind of in the same space, we might be able to come up with local policies and implement local policies through design that is really based on a justice lens, an inclusion lens, when we kind of hold both perspectives at once.